If you're over 60 and your memory just isn't what it used to be, you walk into a room and forget why. You lose your train of thought mid-sentence, you read a page, and nothing sticks. I need you to stop right now. Because I'm about to share 5 specific foods that work at night, while you sleep, to clean, repair, and rebuild the aging brain. And number 1 on this list? It's something sitting in most kitchens right now that almost nobody uses at the right time. Stay with me through all 5, because the one I ranked highest isn't what any doctor has ever told you. But first, you need to understand why nighttime matters for your brain in a way that most people have never been told. Every night while you sleep, your brain activates something called the glymphatic system. Think of it as your brain's overnight cleaning crew. Microscopic channels open up, cerebrospinal fluid floods through, and your brain flushes out toxic waste. The kind that, if it accumulates over years, gets directly linked to Alzheimer's, dementia, and the kind of foggy, slow thinking that starts to feel normal after 60. This system is most active between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. And what you eat in the 2 hours before bed directly determines how well this cleaning system actually functions. Feed your brain the wrong things, the crew shows up but can't do the job. Feed it the right things. You wake up sharper, more focused, with a memory that actually cooperates. That's what we're covering today. And I want you to stick around through all 5. Because I'll explain why I placed something unexpected at number 1. Replacing the eat fatty fish advice you've heard 100 times with something that works even better for nighttime brain recovery specifically. Let's start at number 5. Number 5 is tart cherry juice, specifically Montmorency tart cherry juice, not the sweet cherry juice you find at your regular grocery store. These are 2 completely different things, and the distinction matters enormously. The Montmorency variety contains compounds called anthocyanins, and what makes them remarkable is this: they are small enough to cross the blood-brain barrier. Most antioxidants circulate through your bloodstream and do good work in your body, but they cannot get into brain tissue itself. Anthocyanins can. Once inside the brain, they shut down inflammatory cytokines, the signaling molecules responsible for the low-grade neural inflammation that accelerates memory loss in older adults. Chronic neural inflammation doesn't cause pain you can feel, it's invisible, but it quietly erodes the connections between neurons, slows processing speed, and makes it harder for the brain to form new memories. Anthocyanins go after that inflammation at the source. On top of that, Montmorency cherries contain naturally occurring melatonin, not synthetic melatonin from a pill, but the real form your brain was designed to recognize. Your pineal gland produces melatonin in response to darkness, and it's the signal that tells your glymphatic system to begin its overnight cleaning cycle. Supplementing with the natural version delivered through food works in harmony with this system in a way that high-dose synthetic melatonin often doesn't. And the research backs this up in a concrete way. A study published in the European Journal of Nutrition followed older adults who drank 8 ounces of Montmorency tart cherry juice before bed every night. For 12 consecutive weeks, the results showed significantly improved sleep efficiency, meaning more time in deep, restorative sleep stages, and measurable improvements in episodic memory scores. That's the type of memory that lets you remember specific events, conversations, what you had for breakfast, where you left your glasses, what you meant to pick up at the store. Real, functional memory, not just feeling rested. 8 ounces before bed. 12 weeks. Simple. Now here's the thing, and I want you to hold this thought as we move through the list. Every food I'm about to describe works through a different mechanism. They're not redundant. They're targeting different failure points in your aging brain's overnight repair system. And that's exactly why using several of them together is far more powerful than any one alone. Keep that in mind as we go. Number 4 is full-fat Greek yogurt. And I mean full-fat specifically, not low-fat, not fat-free, not the kind with fruit mixed in. Plain, full-fat Greek yogurt. Here's why the fat matters, and why I'm being so particular. Tryptophan, the amino acid your brain converts into serotonin and then into melatonin, requires dietary fat to be absorbed efficiently at the gut level. When you eat the low-fat version, you significantly reduce the amount of tryptophan that actually makes it through to your bloodstream and eventually to your brain. The fat isn't the enemy, the fat is the delivery vehicle. But there's something even more important about Greek yogurt that goes beyond sleep quality. It contains casein protein, a slow-digesting protein that takes 6 to 8 hours to break down completely. Think about what's happening in your brain while you sleep. Neurons are being repaired. Neural connections are being evaluated and consolidated into long-term memory. Damaged proteins in brain cells are being replaced. All of this construction work requires amino acids available consistently throughout the night. Most proteins digest too quickly. You get a burst of amino acids for an hour or two, then levels drop. Casein solves this by forming a slow gel in your stomach that releases amino acids in a steady drip for 6 to 8 hours. A slow-release fuel supply for your brain's overnight construction crew. About a quarter to a half cup, 45 minutes before bed, that timing lines up with your body's natural melatonin rise. So you're supporting both the chemical signal for sleep and the biological material for brain repair at the same moment. If you're finding this useful, pause for a second and hit that like button. It helps more people over 60 find this kind of research-backed content. And stay with me, because number 3 has a study behind it that genuinely surprised me the first time I read it. Number 3 is walnuts, and this is one where the specificity of the food really matters, so please don't substitute. Not almonds, not pecans, not mixed nuts. Walnuts specifically, and here's why. Walnuts are the only nut on Earth that contains significant amounts of ALA alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 that your body converts into DHA, the primary structural fat in human brain tissue. Every neuron cell membrane depends on DHA for flexibility and proper function. As we age, the body's ability to synthesize DHA decreases, which is one reason cognitive decline accelerates in the later decades when dietary habits don't compensate. But what truly sets walnuts apart from every other brain-healthy food is their specific combination of polyphenols and a compound called ellagic acid. Together, these substances do something that almost nothing else can match. They directly support the glymphatic system I described at the beginning. They reduce oxidative stress in brain tissue, one of the primary reasons the glymphatic system becomes less efficient as we age, allowing the overnight cleaning cycle to run more completely. Less oxidative stress means the channels open more fully, the cerebrospinal fluid flows more freely, and more of that accumulated toxic waste gets cleared before morning. You wake up with a cleaner brain. Literally. And then there's the UCLA study, which I think is the most compelling piece of research I've found on any single food for cognitive aging. Researchers followed more than 600 older adults over an extended period and found that those who regularly consumed walnuts showed up to 52% lower risk of cognitive decline compared to those who didn't. 52%. That is not a marginal number. That is a massive, life-changing difference. A small handful, about 1 ounce in the evening. Your brain's cleaning crew will do better work because of it. Now, I promised you something unexpected at number 1, and we're almost there. But first, number 2, because this one addresses something specific that I hear from so many people over 60. I lie in bed, and my mind just won't stop. Racing thoughts, replaying old worries, stress that won't release. If that sounds familiar, pay close attention to this one. Number 2 is raw honey. And I want to be very precise here, because this only applies to raw honey, not the processed, filtered, heat-treated honey in the plastic bear bottle at the supermarket. That version has had most of its active compounds destroyed by heat processing. Raw honey, from a local beekeeper or a health food store, is a completely different substance. Raw honey contains a class of flavonoids, and one in particular, called pinocembrin, does something remarkable. It stimulates neurogenesis in the hippocampus. That is the creation of new brain cells. In adults in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, new neurons, in the region of your brain most responsible for forming new memories, remembering names, recalling recent events. The hippocampus is also the first region to show damage in Alzheimer's disease, which is exactly why researchers at the University of Malaya studied honey's neuroprotective effects in older adults. Their research found that a small amount of raw honey before bed lowered midnight cortisol levels significantly. Cortisol is your stress hormone, and when it stays elevated while you sleep, your brain cannot fully enter deep sleep, and the glymphatic system runs at reduced capacity. Over months and years, chronically elevated midnight cortisol actually shrinks the hippocampus physically. Lowering it isn't just about feeling less stressed, it's about protecting the structure of your memory center. Participants in that study showed improved memory scores the very next morning, not weeks later. The next morning. Here's the critical detail. 1 teaspoon, dissolved in warm water, 30 to 45 minutes before bed. Not a tablespoon, not a drizzle over yogurt with other sugars. Exactly 1 teaspoon. A larger amount triggers a blood sugar spike that counteracts the cortisol lowering effect and can actually disrupt the deeper stages of sleep. The dose is everything with raw honey. Are you still with me? Good. Because here is where everything I've told you comes together. I've covered 4 foods. Each one targets a different piece of your brain's overnight repair system: anti-inflammation, amino acid supply, glymphatic support, cortisol regulation, and neurogenesis. Now I'm going to tell you about the one food that covers the pieces all of them leave out, and why it earned the top spot on this list over fatty fish, over supplements, over everything else you've heard recommended for brain health. Number 1 is pumpkin seeds. I know. Stay with me for 10 more seconds before you close this. Plain, raw, or lightly toasted pumpkin seeds. And I want to explain the reasoning carefully, because at first glance this might seem like an anticlimactic answer. The reason I replaced fatty fish with pumpkin seeds for nighttime specifically comes down to a principle that the research keeps confirming. What you eat before bed should be easy to digest, rapidly bioavailable for brain function, and free of anything that forces your digestive system to work hard at the exact moment your body needs to redirect energy toward neural repair. A piece of salmon at 9 p.m. asks your body to spend significant digestive energy breaking down protein and fat. Energy that would otherwise go toward the glymphatic cleaning process and brain tissue restoration. Pumpkin seeds provide a denser concentration of brain-critical nutrients per calorie than almost any other food, in a form your body can process quickly and cleanly. So what's actually in them? Let's go through it. First, magnesium, probably the most important nutrient on this entire list for people over 60. Pumpkin seeds have one of the highest magnesium concentrations of any food on Earth. Magnesium protects NMDA receptors, the receptors on your neurons directly responsible for synaptic plasticity, which is your brain's ability to form and consolidate new memories. The majority of adults over 60 are clinically deficient in magnesium, and when that deficiency sets in, NMDA receptors become chronically overstimulated. The result is neural noise, disrupted memory consolidation during sleep, and accelerated neural aging. Pumpkin seeds restore the buffer that protects these receptors. Second, zinc. Your nervous system uses zinc as a signaling molecule between neurons. Without adequate zinc, electrical communication across your neural networks slows and becomes imprecise. Zinc deficiency is one of the most common nutritional deficiencies in adults over 65, and it's strongly associated with cognitive decline. Not because zinc is some exotic booster, but because without it, your neurons simply can't communicate properly. Pumpkin seeds are among the richest food sources of zinc available. Third, tryptophan. Pumpkin seeds contain a higher concentration of tryptophan per gram than almost any other food, including turkey. But here's the crucial difference. When you eat pumpkin seeds as a light evening snack, tryptophan has a clear pathway to your brain. There's no competition from a heavy meal full of other amino acids, all trying to cross the blood-brain barrier at once. Your body converts it cleanly to serotonin, then to melatonin, and that melatonin doesn't just make you drowsy. It orchestrates the deep sleep stages where your glymphatic system does its most intensive cleaning, where memories get committed from short-term to long-term storage, where neural connections formed during the day are reinforced or pruned. The quality of those stages is the difference between waking up sharp or waking up foggy. That's not a metaphor, that's the biology. 1 ounce, raw or lightly toasted, about an hour before bed. If you want to maximize the effect, pair them with 1 teaspoon of raw honey in warm water. The pinosembrin from the honey and the tryptophan from the seeds create a compounding effect on melatonin production that neither achieves quite as well alone. Here's how these 5 foods work together as a simple evening routine. About 2 hours before bed, Greek yogurt, small bowl, plain and full fat. 1 hour before bed, pumpkin seeds and a few walnuts. 30 to 45 minutes before, 1 teaspoon of raw honey in warm water. 20 to 30 minutes before, 8 ounces of Montmorency tart cherry juice. That's the full stack. You don't have to do all 5 on day 1. Pick one to start. Stay consistent for 2 to 3 weeks. Then add another. Your brain's repair systems respond to consistent inputs over time. The 12-week cherry juice study, the UCLA walnut research, and the University of Malaya honey trials all measured results over weeks and months. The people who saw the greatest improvements were the ones who stayed consistent. Here's what I want you to take away. Your brain has a cleaning system, a repair system, the ability to grow new cells even in your 70s and 80s. These don't shut down with age, they slow down because we stop giving them what they need. Every night is a new opportunity. The 2-hour window before sleep is the most underused asset in brain health for older adults. If this opened your eyes to something you hadn't considered before, hit the like button right now. It takes 2 seconds and it genuinely helps other people over 60 find content like this. Leave me a comment below and tell me, which of these 5 foods surprised you most? Was it the pumpkin seeds taking the top spot? The raw honey and its effect on new brain cell growth? Or something else? I read every comment and I want to know what's resonating with you. And if you have someone in your life, a spouse, a sibling, a friend who's been forgetting things lately and brushing it off as just getting older, share this with them. The information in this video could genuinely change their nighttime routine and, over time, their cognitive trajectory.